So the thing to know about balance, okay, and you really, if you want to look at balance, you've got to look at a scale. Balance is static. Harmony is fluid. So let's take an agent, and let's say it's a married couple. It doesn't matter whether who the agent is, but they've got 3 kids. If you try to start talking about life balance to someone with 3 kids, especially 3 young kids, I mean, you're on the wrong foot to begin with. That is just a joke. Now, I never had children, but my brothers did. So I got a bit of an eyeful of what happens, but it is chaotic from one moment to the next. So, this concept of balance, which sounds so good and so smart, and I think this is one of the big problems in just in life in general, is we hear these things that we should have. Like, that's why I said to Nick, look, ADHD, you work with what you have. You don't work with what you should have. You work with what you have. But the ability to focus on harmony, it's much more sexy to talk about balance. But look, when you talk about harmony, you could have 30% business, 70% family on one day. You could have 70%, business, 30% family on the next day. So the dynamic fluid change of going back and forth, I find, with harmony is really, really important. And that's why I said, when I talked about the concept of space versus distractions, and this really, look, I've studied a lot. I mean, I really love understanding humans. I really love understanding why I do the crazy things I do, and gaining truth and clarity for me on this subject. But when Headspace says, oh, you don't need to worry about space because there's plenty of space, I can't tell you the decades that I've talked about to clients about how they need to create more space. And in a single sentence, this guy says, oh, you don't need to create more space. There's more than enough. I'm sitting there going, what? What? And what you realize is you can't create space. What you can create, though, is eliminate distractions. So Greg, it comes back to more of a tactical issue. Balance is static and it's only fleeting, especially if you have 2 different weights, because it goes through the 0 mark on those 2 different weights at a certain speed and doesn't stop till it hits the other point where they're quote unquote in balance. But it's dynamic when you start talking about harmony. You can say, oh, and that's why when you look at really great bands or great orchestras, you listen and look for the harmony in there and how beautiful it is, because it all comes together to create this beautiful piece of work. So if someone takes their life and say, how do I create harmony in my life? Well, that's a worthwhile discussion. It's a worthwhile place to be curious and say, well, what does harmony mean to me? Because look, everybody is unique. Everyone. Really don't care. If some people may say, hey, I'm just like you, Gene, I'm just like you, Byron, I'm like you, Greg, I'm like you. But really it comes down to, you're an individual, you're unique, and this is your journey. And the one way to do it is to be really, really curious about everything in your life. And Nick, that's why I said, look, start from, I have ADD or ADHD, but then say, okay, what if I tried this? What would it be like my way if I did this? And then that just leads you on a really cool journey. And it's a mindful journey.